There are words that do not merely fall upon the ear. They strike the invisible chords of life itself. They are not words of persuasion, nor are they words of demand. They are keys fashioned in the unseen, waiting for the one who dares to speak them with conviction. You have walked long paths seeking opportunity, yearning for doors to open, yet many times you have knocked and heard only silence. But the silence was not denial. It was a preparation for the moment when you would discover that the true door is never without, but always within. Life is governed by exact law, precise as mathematics and vibrant as music. Every word is a seed, and every seed must bear fruit after its own kind. Speak words of fear, and fear multiplies. Speak words of lack, and lack grows bold. Yet speak words of power, and power rushes to obey. This is why the careless tongue binds itself in chains, while the awakened tongue opens palaces of promise. The secret lies not in effort, not in striving, not in anxious pushing against locked gates, but in uttering the sound that creation itself recognizes. There are 3 exact words that open any door. They are not what the world imagines. They are not cloaked in mystery, nor hidden in foreign scripts. They wait in plain sight, yet remain veiled until one is ready to wield them with unwavering faith. These words, when spoken, align you with the infinite source that knows no obstacle, no limitation, no impossibility. They carry the current of divine order, which rearranges circumstances, moves hearts, and places before you the very thing you thought was beyond reach. Consider the locked door you face now. Perhaps it is the door of love long delayed. Perhaps it is the door of health, where shadows have lingered. Perhaps it is the door of prosperity, which seems to open for others while remaining shut before you. Yet the moment you take these words upon your lips, not as a plea, not as a question, but as a decree, the door cannot help but yield. For law responds not to the wavering heart, but to the voice of certainty. The outer world bends to the inner word. Life does not resist you, it reflects you. Doors are not closed because you are unworthy. They are closed because you have not yet spoken the language of opening. Speak these words with full assurance, and you will discover that doors dissolve, barriers vanish, and the way is made clear. What you once thought required years of labor may fall into place in an instant, because spirit wastes no time when truth is spoken. The 3 words are the key, but the key works only when turned with faith. You must feel the reality before the door swings wide. You must stand in the inner chamber of answered prayer before the latch clicks open. Then, without effort, without struggle, you walk forward, not as a beggar asking admission, but as one who belongs. For the words that open any door are not only magic, they are law fulfilled. Every word is a seed, and it must bear fruit after its kind. This truth is eternal and cannot be escaped. For the universe itself is a garden of spoken power. In the beginning, before form was shaped and matter arranged, the word was already at work. Sound became substance, vibration became visible, thought clothed itself in matter, and the invisible wove itself into the tangible. That same law of creation rests upon every human tongue, for the words you speak are not idle noises. They are living seeds that descend into the soil of the unseen, waiting for the season when they must spring forth. Whether you know it or not, every utterance you release carries a destiny, and that destiny must return to you multiplied. When one truly awakens to this law, carelessness with speech vanishes. No longer can you afford to fling words of doubt, fear, or complaint into the atmosphere, for they do not vanish into the wind. They take root. They anchor themselves in the fertile field of life, and in due time, they return as a harvest. The person who wonders why troubles multiply must listen to their own speech, for it is often a garden thick with weeds. The one who constantly declares, "I cannot," "I lack," "I fear," or "I fail," has unknowingly planted seeds of those very things, and the harvest comes faithfully, as all harvests do. Life is not cruel, it is exact. It gives back only what was sown, nothing less and nothing more. Yet the same law that appears harsh is in fact the key to freedom, because once you understand it, you can plant differently. You can uproot the thorns with new decrees. You can scatter seeds of joy, prosperity, health, and triumph. Speak abundance, and abundance has no choice but to come. Declare harmony, and harmony must reveal itself. Announce victory, and victory aligns itself with you. Words are never powerless, they are the blueprint of your world. To speak is to command substance into order. To declare is to draw the invisible into shape. Imagine a farmer standing before his field. If he sows thistles, he will not expect roses. If he scatters pebbles, he will not expect wheat. He knows that the seed decides the harvest. In the same way, the wise soul understands that words spoken today are crops tomorrow. The careless farmer blames the weather, blames the soil, blames the season. Yet his trouble began with what he sowed. So it is with the careless speaker, who blames fate, chance, or circumstance. Yet the true cause is always the spoken word. Every word is creative. Even the smallest muttered phrase carries the vibration of command. This is why ancient teachers warned that every idle word would be accounted for, not as punishment, but as law fulfilled. Words cannot dissolve into nothingness, they continue to create long after they have left the lips. They travel like arrows, unseen but unfailing, striking their target, producing their result. How vital then to speak only that which uplifts, strengthens, multiplies good, and calls forth light from every shadow. Consider the one who constantly rehearses misfortune, telling the same story of loss, betrayal, and failure to anyone who will listen. Each retelling is a new planting, each word a fresh scattering of bitter seeds, and the ground responds with more of the same. Another, however, speaks differently. Even in difficulty, their words lean toward promise. They affirm that good is coming, that doors are opening, that strength is rising, that all things are working together in their favor. Though the outer evidence seems contrary, their speech sows new seed, and in time the harvest overtakes them. What you say about yourself and your world is the prophecy you write into your future. Every word is a seed, and some seeds grow quickly while others take time. The moment you speak, you set in motion currents that gather substance to themselves. Some results appear at once, others unfold slowly, like a tree pushing its roots deep before stretching skyward. The impatient soul says, "My words do nothing." But the law does not fail. Delay is not denial, it is simply the unseen root system preparing to bear lasting fruit. Every word finds its season, and when the season comes, the harvest is exact. You do not plant fear and reap peace. You do not plant anger and reap love. You do not plant lack and reap abundance. You reap after your own kind, for the seed cannot deny itself. This is why discipline of speech is discipline of destiny. The one who governs their tongue governs their life. The one who fills their mouth with words of truth, power, beauty, and assurance writes a future radiant with those very qualities. The harvest is never a mystery to the one who knows what they planted. Your tongue is not a trivial tool, it is the sower of eternity. Speak as though every word must rise again before you, for it surely will. When you declare blessing, you walk into blessing. When you declare peace, you walk into peace. When you declare strength, you walk into strength. Every declaration is a seed sown into the invisible garden of tomorrow. Those who grasp this law cease to waste speech. They do not indulge in idle complaints, sharp criticisms, or careless prophecies of disaster, because they know each word is a living force. Instead, they fill their language with affirmations of truth, decrees of good, and praises for the unseen supply already at hand. Even silence is a kind of planting, for it restrains the weeds of negativity from sprouting. But when silence is broken, let it be broken with deliberate power. Do not let words slip from your lips unguarded, for they will not return empty. Every phrase must be chosen as carefully as seed in the hand of a sower. The wise one does not scatter thorns in their own field. The wise one places only the seed they wish to harvest. This is the mystery unveiled. Every word is a seed, and it must bear fruit after its kind. The soil of life cannot deny the seed, nor can the harvest refuse the planter. If your present world is filled with unwanted growth, know that it is but the echo of yesterday's planting, and today you hold the power to sow anew. Each phrase, each declaration, Each whisper spoken with intent carries the power of creation. It may be a seed of despair or a seed of hope, a seed of bondage or a seed of freedom, but whatever it is, it must rise, it must grow, it must yield its harvest. Speak, then, with holy care, for you are planting the garden in which you must walk. Doors are not closed by fate, but by the absence of the right decree. To most, life appears as a sequence of locked gates and guarded passages, where fortune grants entry to a few while withholding from the many. Yet the universe is impartial, it is never a tyrant, never an unjust keeper of treasures. Every closed door is not a verdict against you, but a call for the precise word that will release the latch. There is no accident in opportunity, no chance in advancement. Law rules all things, and the law is ever ready to answer the decree spoken with authority and faith. Many live believing that destiny has favored others more generously. They look upon the prosperity of another and sigh, "It was meant for them, not for me." They gaze upon love blooming in another's path and resign themselves, saying, "It was not in my fate." They watch health restore itself to another and declare, "It is their fortune, not mine." Such words seal their own doors, for they accept as final what is only temporary. Fate is not the jailer, it is the echo of one's decrees. If the decree is absent, the door remains closed not by design of the divine, but by the silence of the soul. The decree is the key, and keys must be used. No door swings open to one who only waits and wonders. The door yields when the voice within proclaims its opening. Words are not mere expressions of hope, they are commands to law. When the decree is spoken, unseen forces arrange themselves to obey. Circumstances shift, people appear, paths clear, timing adjusts, and what seemed immovable begins to yield. It is not because chance has favored you, but because law has been given the exact command to act. Consider the house filled with many rooms. The owner holds the keys to each, yet chooses to stand outside one door, lamenting its closure, forgetting the key in their hand. So it is with the soul who complains of limitation while possessing the authority of decree. The law waits upon the spoken word, for it cannot act without command. Silence leaves the latch untouched. Complaint rattles the handle but does not open it. Only the decree, firm and unwavering, causes the hinges to turn. The decree must be exact, for vague speech wields little power. To mutter, "Perhaps one day I will succeed," is no decree but a shadow of longing. To sigh, "If it is meant to be, it will come," is no decree, but a resignation to drift. The decree is precise, sharp as the stroke of a chisel, unambiguous and filled with certainty. It declares, "This door opens now." It does not plead, it does not question, it does not shrink. It commands. In that command is the authority that life itself recognizes, for life was built to obey the word. Doors do not resist you out of cruelty. They mirror your decree. If you declare lack, the door of abundance remains closed. If you declare weakness, the door of strength remains sealed. If you declare delay, the door of fulfillment stays beyond reach. Yet the moment you decree otherwise, the lock must turn. The decree does not beg, for begging is the language of one who believes the door belongs to another. The decree is the language of ownership, the voice of the heir who knows that every door was fashioned for their use. Think of the times you spoke with unshakable conviction, when no doubt clouded your tone. Perhaps you said, "I will finish this," and it was finished. Perhaps you declared, "I will overcome this," and the way opened. That certainty was not wishful thinking, it was decree. Every time you spoke with such authority, the door yielded, whether you recognized the law at work or not. Imagine what life becomes when every word is spoken with that level of certainty. When every door is approached not as a barrier, but as a structure awaiting the sound of your decree. The absence of decree creates delay, and delay is often mistaken for denial. When nothing seems to move, one assumes the door is closed forever. Yet the truth is simpler. The decree has not been spoken with precision. Many speak once, half-heartedly, then fall silent when the door does not fly open at once. They do not realize that the decree is not a whisper, but a continual affirmation of authority, pressed into the unseen until it becomes seen. The door does not ignore you, it awaits your full command. Every closed door teaches the soul the value of speech. If doors flew open without decree, humanity would never learn the sacredness of words. It is the very resistance of the locked gate that awakens the realization your word is the key. When you finally speak with clarity, with unwavering assurance, the door opens, not because it chose to, but because law requires it. The door has no will of its own. It is motionless until touched by the decree. The decree must come from alignment with the heart, not mere repetition of phrases. Empty words do not carry the current of power. But when the decree arises from the deep knowing that the door was never meant to keep you out, it gathers a force that cannot be denied. This force does not shout or strain, it is calm, certain, absolute. Even whispered, it carries weight, because authority is not in volume but in conviction. The decree spoken with true faith shakes the unseen and compels the seen to obey. Picture the soul standing before a locked treasure room. Years of longing have produced nothing but exhaustion. Yet the moment they realize the key is in their decree, everything shifts. They no longer wait for someone else to hand them the key. They no longer curse the door or pity themselves. They open their mouth and declare, "This door opens to me now." The vibration of that decree strikes the lock, and in perfect order, the door yields. This is not chance, not fortune, not luck, but law. The decree was spoken and law obeyed. So it is with every situation that appears closed. No fate has decreed your exclusion. No destiny has barred your entrance. The decree was simply absent. When it is present, the impossible dissolves. When it is spoken, the gate swings wide. The soul learns that life is not a labyrinth of denial, but a field of doors awaiting the right command. And the command is always within your reach, waiting to be spoken with faith and precision. The outer world bends to the inner word. Life is not first shaped by circumstances, nor by the actions of others, nor even by the rise and fall of fortune. It is shaped by the sound that flows from within, the declaration spoken in faith or in fear, the inner decree that becomes outer manifestation. What surrounds you is but a reflection of what you have uttered, whether consciously or unconsciously. The visible bows before the invisible, and the invisible takes its instruction from your word. Every condition that seems so solid, every event that appears so immovable, is in truth pliable, bending and rearranging itself according to the tone of your speech. The power of the inner word is not measured by volume, but by conviction. A whisper of certainty outweighs 1,000 cries of doubt. The world outside listens not to the noise of your lips, but to the authority of your inner decree. You may speak outwardly, yet if your heart denies the words, they fall lifeless. You may utter softly within, yet if belief floods those words, the outer world must yield. The law of creation is precisely the outer must conform to the inner, as shadow conforms to substance. What you hold and declare inwardly is the mold into which outer circumstances must flow. Look at the life you live today. Every event, every relationship, every condition bears the fingerprint of words once spoken. If you see lack, you will find words of lack in your past. If you see confusion, you will find words of uncertainty. If you see harmony, you will find words of peace and alignment. The outer is a mirror, never a master. It has no will of its own, no power to resist, no ability to create independently. It only reflects. To wrestle with outer events is like striking at shadows on a wall. To change the outer, one must speak anew within. For the shadow always bends to the form that casts it. The soul that has not learned this law spends its days in endless struggle, pushing against doors, battling obstacles, fearing resistance. They exhaust themselves in the arena of appearances, never realizing that the battlefield is within. But the one who knows that the outer bends to the inner word does not waste strength in outer conflict. They retire inward, speak the decree with faith, and then step outward to find the world already shifting in response. The unseen does the heavy lifting. The seen merely carries out what has already been ordered. Consider the seed once more. The farmer does not command the soil by force of arms. He does not plead with the earth to yield its crop. He places the seed within, and the soil responds by bringing forth the plant. So it is with the word. You do not command the world by wrestling it into place. You sow your word inwardly, and the outer ground bends to it, producing a harvest in due time. This is not struggle but law. It is not chance but certainty. The outer world is pliable, though it appears rigid. Like molten metal, it waits for the mold of your decree. If the decree is filled with fear, the metal hardens into chains. If the decree is filled with love, the metal hardens into blessings. If the decree is filled with lack, the metal hardens into limitation. Yet if the decree is filled with abundance, strength and joy, the metal hardens into doors opening and paths clearing. The mold is always set by the word, and the world must take the shape it is given. Many cry, I will believe it when I see it. But the law is reversed. You will see it when you decree it. Sight follows word, not the other way. Faith speaks first, then the outer bends. To demand evidence before decree is to put the shadow before the light. Nothing can appear outwardly that has not first been accepted inwardly. The decree is always the seed, and the harvest cannot come before planting. Think of those moments when you shifted inwardly and everything outside followed. Perhaps you once feared a situation, then declared inwardly, I am safe, I am guided, I am protected. Soon what seemed dangerous dissolved, and safety surrounded you. Perhaps you once faced lack, then declared, all that I need is here and now provided. Shortly after, provision flowed in unexpected ways. These were not coincidences. They were proofs of the law that the outer bends to the inner word. This law works impartially, whether for good or for ill. If you decree worry, the world obliges with circumstances to match. If you decree anger, the world supplies reasons to sustain it. If you decree joy, the world provides events to affirm it. The decree comes first, the evidence later. Many live in circles of frustration because they continue to decree the same conditions they wish to escape. They repeat, nothing ever changes. Doors are closed, I am always left behind. And the world, obedient servant that it is, arranges itself to reflect those very statements. Yet the moment one dares to declare otherwise, the circle breaks, and the world begins to bend in a new direction. It is not necessary to understand how the bending takes place. The farmer does not watch the seed in the soil, demanding to know each detail of its unfolding. He trusts the law of growth. In the same way, you do not need to trace each thread of how the decree becomes visible. The law is certain, and the outer must comply. Your part is to decree with unwavering faith, and the bending is assured. When you walk through life, remember that nothing is fixed until you decree it so. No condition is final, no circumstance immovable, unless you seal it with your word. Speak against yourself, and you bind yourself. Speak for yourself, and you release yourself. The power is never in the outer appearance, but in the inner decree. Even the most stubborn wall must crumble, even the darkest path must light up when the decree is spoken with faith. For the outer is not master, it is servant, and the servant must bend to the word of the master within. The key works only when turned with faith. A key lying idle in the palm is no different from a stone. Its power is hidden until it is placed into the lock, turned with certainty, and used as it was designed to be used. Words themselves are keys, but without faith they remain cold metal, lifeless symbols, unable to open the doors of life. Faith is the hand that turns, the motion that activates, the energy that compels the lock to yield. Without it, the decree is empty sound. With it, the decree is irresistible power. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is not hoping that perhaps something might occur if fortune is kind. Faith is knowing, beyond doubt, that the invisible is already real, that the word spoken has already secured its fulfillment. It is the quiet certainty that when the key is turned, the door must open. The soul that speaks without faith is like one who taps lightly at a lock, fearing it will never move, and so it remains closed. The one who speaks with faith grips firmly, turns decisively, and the mechanism responds at once. This is why two people may speak the same words, yet one sees results while the other sees nothing. The difference is not in the phrase, but in the faith. One repeats a formula, hoping vaguely for change, while the other declares with unshakable assurance. The law does not respond to idle utterance, it responds to conviction. The universe bends to the voice of one who knows, not to the murmur of one who doubts. The key only works when turned with faith. Faith is the invisible current that charges the word with life. It is the electricity that flows through the wire, the wind that fills the sails, the fire that brings warmth to the hearth. Without it, the forms remain but the force is absent. Words are shells without faith, but filled with faith they are living vessels, carrying the power of creation itself. A decree of fear has faith in failure. A decree of love has faith in good. Faith always exists, it is only a matter of where it is placed. To place faith in obstacles is to empower them. To place faith in possibility is to release it. The inner posture matters more than the outward effort. One may speak loudly, passionately, endlessly. Yet if doubt is seated in the heart, the lock resists. Another may speak but once, softly, quietly, yet with absolute conviction, and the door swings wide. Faith is the unseen lever. It does not strain, it does not push, it does not plead, it simply knows. It knows that law never fails, that the decree always returns, that the word always accomplishes. When spoken in this knowing, the key is turned fully, and the way is opened. Faith does not wait for evidence before it believes. It does not demand signs before it acts. It speaks first, and the evidence follows. To say, "I will believe it when I see it," is to hold the key in hand but never place it in the lock. To say, "I see it within, therefore I decree it," is to turn the key in faith, and the door must respond. Every answered prayer, every open path, every manifested blessing is born not from wish but from faith. The mind may argue, presenting evidence of closed doors, recounting failures of the past, insisting on the weight of present circumstances. But faith does not bow to appearances. It speaks from a higher law, declaring what must be despite what seems to be. The lock may appear rusted, the door may look sealed. But faith knows that the design of the key is perfect, and that no lock can resist its turning. The key is made for the door, and the door for the key. And faith is the movement that unites them. Those who lack faith often believe they are waiting for divine permission, for destiny to align, for external approval. Yet the law waits only for their decree spoken in faith. It does not delay, it does not withhold. The delay is only in the wavering heart, in the hand that trembles at the lock, in the voice that speaks without conviction. The moment faith is present, the lock yields. The moment faith turns the key, the door opens. Faith is not force, it is not struggle, it is not shouting louder, nor repeating endlessly. It is rest in certainty. It is the calm assurance of one who knows the outcome before it appears. The one who believes presses the key into the lock without fear, without hesitation, without doubt. They do not demand to see the mechanism working. They trust that the design is flawless. They simply turn, and the door yields. So it is with the word spoken in faith. It does not analyze how the unseen rearranges itself. It does not demand to witness every step of the process. It simply knows the law works, and therefore it rests in assurance until the result is visible. The key works only when turned with faith, because faith activates alignment. It aligns the inner word with the outer world. Without it, there is division, lips saying one thing, heart believing another. With faith, there is unity. The whole being speaking in harmony, thought and word and belief moving as one. This unity creates power that the universe cannot resist. Faith is the signature of authority upon the decree, the seal that validates the command, the force that compels the outer to obey the inner. Imagine the weary soul standing before the same door day after day, declaring weakly, "Perhaps it will open, perhaps it will not." Nothing moves. Yet the moment they lift their voice in certainty, this door opens now. With faith gripping the words, the atmosphere shifts. The unseen begins to rearrange, the mechanism of life turns, and the door swings wide. It was not the words alone that carried the power. It was the faith that filled them. Faith is the difference between echo and command. Without it, the words echo into emptiness. With it, The words command substance itself. Faith is the unseen hand that turns the key, and when it turns, no door can resist. You do not beg before life. You command as one who belongs. The universe is not a distant throne, before which you must crawl on your knees, pleading for scraps of favor. It is a boundless field of law, precise and exact, awaiting your word. You were never designed to live as a supplicant, trembling before the mysteries of existence. You were designed as an heir, a rightful owner, one who stands upright and declares with authority. Life is not moved by begging, for begging is the language of uncertainty. Life is moved by decree spoken with assurance, by the word of one who knows their place as part of the infinite order. Begging assumes separation. It assumes that the good you desire lies outside of you, held by a reluctant giver who may or may not grant it. It paints life as a stern ruler, withholding its treasures until you prove worthy through groaning and pleading. But law does not respond to groans. Law responds to precision. The moment you shift from pleading to declaring, you step into your true authority. The decree aligns you with life's order, and life yields. Not reluctantly, but instantly, because it must obey the rightful command of one who speaks as owner, not as beggar. Every moment of begging is a denial of your inheritance. To say, "Please give me," is to confess that you do not yet have. But to declare, "It is mine now," is to step into possession. The universe mirrors that stance. If you announce lack, lack remains. If you announce fullness, fullness manifests. The beggar remains outside the door, while the heir walks through without resistance. For the heir does not question their right of entry. They know the house is theirs. They know the table was set for them. They do not ask for a place. They take their seat. The command is not arrogance. It is alignment. To command as one who belongs is to recognize the truth. All that you seek already exists in the unseen, and it is part of your rightful inheritance as a soul in harmony with divine law. You do not wrestle for it, you do not steal it, you do not trick life into yielding it. You call it forth because it is already yours. The command is a recognition, not a theft. It is the language of belonging, not intrusion. Begging weakens the spirit. It rehearses unworthiness. It trains the mind to see itself as small, powerless, undeserving. The more one begs, the more one convinces themselves that they are separate from what they seek. The more they cry out for what is already theirs, the more they push it away with their own words. The universe does not respond to pity, it responds to law. The one who commands with certainty moves law into action. The one who begs circles endlessly, waiting for a gate that never opens because they never took the authority to open it. Think of a child in their own home. They do not beg to open the refrigerator. They do not plead for the right to sit at the family table. They walk in as one who belongs. Their belonging is understood, and the house responds to their presence. So it is with you and the universe. You are not an intruder in creation. You are part of it, made in its image, equipped with its language of decree. To act as a beggar is to forget your birthright. To act as one who commands is to remember who you are. The command is not forceful. It does not need to shout, nor rage, nor pound its fists. True authority is calm. It speaks once, knowing it is enough. The general does not plead with the soldier, he issues the order. The law does not beg the citizen, it declares the rule. The sun does not request permission to rise, it simply shines. In the same way, the command of one who belongs is steady, clear, unwavering. It does not apologize for existing. It does not tremble before resistance. It declares, and the declaration shapes reality. There is no arrogance in this stance, for arrogance is a mask of insecurity. The true command is humble, yet absolute. It does not need to prove itself, for it knows its authority is inherent. When you speak as one who belongs, you do not elevate yourself above others, nor diminish them. You simply stand in your rightful place, knowing that the universe has enough for all, and that your command does not rob another, but calls forth what is already abundant and infinite. Every condition in life waits for your word. If you speak as a beggar, conditions remain unmoved, because the beggar has already declared their powerlessness. But if you speak as one who commands, conditions rearrange themselves, because the command carries the energy of truth. You were never meant to crawl before life, but to co-create with it. The law of creation is not external to you, it flows through you, activated by your word. To command as one who belongs is to recognize that the doors of life do not open out of charity, they open out of law. Just as gravity does not grant its pull to some and deny it to others, the laws of creation do not withhold. They respond to authority. And authority is not granted to a select few. It is inherent in all. The only difference lies in whether one dares to claim it. Those who beg never touch their authority, while those who command awaken it fully. Think of the times you shifted from pleading to certainty. Perhaps you once begged for peace, only to remain restless. But the day you declared, "I am at peace now," the stillness descended. Perhaps you once begged for provision, only to feel need grow heavier. But the moment you declared, "My supply is here," doors opened, opportunities appeared, and provision flowed. These moments were not accidents. They were evidence of the truth. Begging delays, command delivers. The outer world recognizes tone more than language. The words, "please," and "I have," may differ in sound, but the vibration behind them tells the universe what to mirror. A tone of begging produces more reasons to beg. A tone of command produces fulfillment. The law cannot mistake tone, for it responds not to the surface of words, but to the depth of conviction. When you speak as one who belongs, your tone carries authority and the world bends. The beggar's eyes are fixed on the closed door. The heir's eyes are fixed on their rightful inheritance beyond it. The beggar waits for permission. The heir knows no permission is needed. The beggar questions, "Am I worthy?" The heir declares, "This is mine." The difference is not in the door, but in the stance. One sees themselves as outside, the other as within. And life, ever obedient, reflects whichever role is chosen. You do not beg before life. You command as one who belongs. This is the true position of power, the rightful place of every soul. The stance that unlocks doors, summons abundance, restores health, and calls forth harmony. It is not arrogance, it is law. It is not presumption. It is truth. To speak as one who belongs is to align with the order of creation, and to live not as a stranger in the universe, but as its rightful heir.